Hello and welcome back to the podcast We Are Selling, brought to you by Realtair, the home of pitch, sign and sell. My name's Lee Woodward, the author of the Complete Salesperson course. Today's topic is called Sold by Agent, and this has been prompted by the industry concerning conversation regarding the term off-market. And over the last 2 weeks, there has been an enormous social explosion as agents discuss what the term off-market means. And today's program should bring some clarity and a review of what we need to do moving forward. And there is no right or wrong to this topic. For myself, and speaking from my own perspective, I have a concern about the term off-market. And that concern is fueled by the incorrect signals that it sends to the marketplace. There is a significant difference between off-portal and off-market. A legal fact: the moment you sign the agency agreement in your state, the property is officially on the market with an agent. How the agent chooses to market the property, promote the property, is a personal decision of the professional agent. A licensed agency or agent has brought the property officially to the open market, meaning the property is available. The property is available for a purchaser to purchase at a price that the owner agrees to release the asset. That means it is on the market available. It hasn't reached the marketing promotion stage, but it is available. And the agent has an executed agreement, a contract, in order to execute the sale as a licensed agent or agency. So let's talk about some of the industry commentary. And again, no right and wrong. Every person is entitled to their view, their approach, and how they do it. And I think one of the most famous examples of this is Lisa Novak. And Lisa has had incredible success with her pre-market strategy. Now, for Lisa, her understanding of pre-market is pre-portal. She's using her socials, her followers, and promoting the property to people who are connected to her or following her on a daily basis. But the property is on the market with Lisa in her pre-marketing stage. And to Lisa's credit, the results have been internationally incredible. However, from my education view, what Lisa does incredibly well is blended marketing. She is staging the property that her first approach to market is a set play for her. She finds that buyer engagement level. She also stimulates the purchasing community that there's a chance that you've got to see this one before the open market. And then many of her properties do hit the portals, but using a staged, blended marketing approach, she's definitely been able to create an environment where the property is on the market. She's checking in with the buying community, providing instantaneous marketplace results to her owner, who has the choice and the right to make a decision to release the asset. And I think this is a fantastic method, but the property is still on the market. So let's review some of the industry commentary of how people are feeling about this topic off-market. And to set the scene, what I actually posted was this. For the last few years, the term off-market has been a big concern of mine, as the next craze will be off-agent. Seeing this today, and what we saw today for audio purposes, is Off-Market Properties Australia, which is a group of people who are selling properties directly to the selling community, and that's what caused my concern, is off-market has become a brand, but it is not a licensed real estate agent doing the work. And what is happening here is marketing companies or smart marketing online people have created a space where they sell the consumer a promotion pack to sell their property off-market. Avoid the agent, no fees. Now, for sale by owner has been around forever, and it never ever achieves anything, as an owner directly selling to a marketplace with limited time and resources doesn't get the best result, and the underselling or non-selling of the asset has been a consistent result from this method. However, the person who does well is the person who sells the promotion pack, because as soon as they sell that pack, it doesn't matter if it sells or not, and it probably won't sell. but the consumer has paid a fee thinking they're saving a fee. Yet in the real estate space, we work no sale, no charge in our efforts and energy to put the property to the marketplace, and a promotional pack needs to be facilitated by a professional agent, not in the hands of a consumer doing it once for the first time, especially with an asset this big. When an agent takes a property to the market, we have the presence, we have the registered purchasers. We also have the cost of staff, premises to build up our followers. And the day we start, we provide a marketplace we've invested in for many years. It's more complex than we projected. We work so hard before any property arrives on the market. Please be worth the massive effort you make daily and get the right buyer for the right property. Sold by agent is the correct signal. So that was the post. Let's have a listen to what people said. 100% agree. Agree. Must practice what we preach. How can we be assured of absolute best price without putting the property on the market? And this person referenced lazy agents. No wonder our services aren't valued by some consumers. Another comment. I wouldn't call them lazy agents, just lacking the ability to present the best opportunities available to a vendor, offering a cheaper, less effective option. Another one, buyer's agents actually sign up clients by offering them access to off-market listings. We are seeing a lot of less experienced agents falling for this easy sale. We get hounded many times a day for off-market listings. Lisa Novak, I've always stood by the term pre-market. I've trialled and tested this strategy many a time, hundreds in fact. Our job, no doubt, as agents is to ensure we are obtaining the highest possible price for our vendors. There are, however, many vendors who simply do not want to do a big ticket tape auction parade. Dip their toes in and test the market. Price-driven vendors whom, if they achieve their dream price, are sellers. Another comment. Spot on. As soon as it's listed, it's for sale. So as we discuss this challenge, it's time to bring in our guest. She joins me now. Giving up her time on a Sunday is the wonderful Lisa Novak. Lisa, welcome aboard.
Thank you, Lee. Always love having these chats with you.
Now, from our intro, what did you draw from that was important to you?
Okay, so there's two discussions here. The first discussion is a seller and a buyer transacting together, doing a deal together without agent intervention.
So we could call that an off-market sale because there was no agent involved, technically a for sale by owner. And Lisa, a lot of our younger agents may not know this, but there used to be a publication called the Trading Post, and people would put their house in the market there. In the local papers, there'd be line ads saying owner wants to sell their house, this is where they are. So traditionally, this has been going on a long period of time, that an off-market, off-agent sale has been out there. I think it's just got foggy as our industry has been sending some signals to the marketplace that fall in line with that.
I agree. So, yes, you're quite right. That has always been happening. A seller could always sell their property without the intervention of a real estate agent. But is that the best way? That sets alarm bells off for me. And I'll bet any real estate agent that's listening to this, that is definitely, that sets danger signals all over the place for me. Because, Lee, we are specialists in our field. And the reason that a vendor employs our services as a real estate agent is because of just that. We're specialists in our field, and we're being employed to make sure that we are achieving the absolute highest possible price for our vendors. And there's so much that goes into selling a property. Hence why people do employ us for our services. So as I said, that sets all sorts of alarm bells off for me.
Couldn't agree more. And just for this industry chat, which is so important, I think when we send the signals, sold first day, off market, we're sending a signal that it was easy. Yet behind the scenes, we don't explain the people in our marketing departments who get the copy ready for a private inspection, the trust account officer who makes sure the money doesn't get hacked from one bank account to another, there is so much that goes into the sale that I think as an industry we've underplayed that and made it sound easy, and it's not easy, and we work very, very hard to get the result we do. But as we know, one of the most important parts of a deal is not getting the offer. Like, real estate's attract, engage, commit, and anyone can attract people to a property. You can even get them to engage. But as you know, Lisa, from doing this every day yourself, someone might make an offer, but then you've got to hold it together. And an owner doesn't have the psychological skills, or could say the wrong thing to the best buyer in the marketplace and say, well, you're not having it, and the next person's 80 grand less.
And also, when we as agents, and I've done this myself, Lee, I just sold a property last week, a beautiful home in Freshwater. It was sold pre-market, which we're going to discuss in a moment, and it was sold that same day. Now, the level of work that went into getting that transaction across the line was definitely not that one day. It was the 7 years that I have been in the industry plus that one day. So it's all it's what's gone on under the iceberg to actually make that transaction look easy, in inverted commas. But there was an enormous level of negotiations. There was an enormous level of marketing that went into that. And there was an enormous level of experienced negotiations that came to that very successful sale for that vendor.
And Lisa, what you've built up now is a very powerful agent in the marketplace. Like, the word database is underestimated. What you've got is followers. Some of the best buyers you could have given up looking. They were on the market 3 years ago. They had a look around, missed out at a few auctions, but they still want something on Curl Beach. Something pops up and you think, you know what? I know someone for this one. That's the moment. People say, oh, it didn't even reach the portals, or you sold it off market. Well, the buyer was on market 3 years ago. I've just kept track of that person my entire time to do my job as an incredible agent.
The actual demographic of buyer that I see when I'm selling so many of these properties pre-market is exactly what you have just mentioned. It's that buyer that has almost given up. They've missed out. They've been the underbidder at multiple auctions. They've gone onto the real estate portals, realestate.com and Domain, and they just keep missing out on these properties. So when an agent presents them with a pre-market opportunity, they're going to jump, and they're going to jump quickly, and they're absolutely happy to overpay for these properties to take them off the market before they've actually even launched out to those real estate portals. That is the typical demographic of buyer that I see. But Lee, I think it's really important as well for the industry and for the people that we actually break down this definition between off-market, pre-market, and what the right terminology really is. Because off-market, when you actually Google what off-market means, it means no formal advertising. So no advertising was done. That means not a signboard. That means never actually had photos taken, and nothing else actually happened except for an agent picking up the phone, calling that buyer without any formal public advertising being done.
And if we look at every single house not on the market right now, it's off market. So a property can be in a search and you think, oh, look, I love that house over there. Well, that's a true off-market property because it's not available. And once we sign that agreement and it becomes available, and then the choice of promotion or non-promotion is different to the property being on the market. And I think available's an interesting word. Is that property available? No, it's not. Yes, it is. And without the authority and contract for New South Wales, we don't have that ability to activate the property into the marketplace because there's into the market and on the market. So if I'm to ring you now, Lisa, and say, Lisa, I know you looked 3 years ago, you wanted Curl Beach, we had nothing at that time. Something's popped up. It hasn't even been on the portals yet. We haven't even started the photography, but there's a window of opportunity. I can get you through it. I'm putting you into the market because if you now go and see that and you want to purchase it, the property was available.
Couldn't agree more. And so, look, that's why, Lee, I love the terminology pre-market as opposed to off-market because, you know, we are actually coming to market. For my buyers, they've got the opportunity to be able to see and potentially buy property first before it actually launches out to the real estate portals, being realestate.com and Domain. So much so that I've actually had the professional photos done because we are always heading to the portals if I feel that that is the best way forward to achieve the highest possible price for my vendor. Now, the only way that a property can actually be purchased pre-market is if we have received an offer that has been so good that it has actually taken that property off the market before it's actually even launched.
And Lisa, you've got some owners out there, not some, a lot of owners that don't want to be in the physical space where 50 people are going to come through their land room. And there's a premium for them of, that's good money. We wouldn't have to go through the process of finding somebody else, because what you're trying to do is find the right buyer. And people say, but it wasn't on the market. If the buyer was on the market for 3 years, it took 3 years. That's right. That person had to be located, and they've usually come through. And this is the other main reason why for sale by owner never worked. Otherwise, none of us would have a job. An owner, very rare that someone directly buys the property they ring up about. The property they inquire about is an inquiry, but as you know, it's one of your others that match it. And you need the variety and the width to get the matching right. If you only had one property, it's the hardest thing in the world to sell.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And look, again, just, a seller transacting directly with a buyer without that agent intervention, I just can't reiterate it enough. It's dangerous. As a seller who doesn't have that experience of a real estate agent, they absolutely could be underselling their property. And so the money that they're trying to save in commission, I'm guessing that's the only reason why a seller would want to transact directly with a buyer, could be lost in the sale price.
Very much so.
Because of that lack of experience. And if it was that easy, Lee, you could literally jump onto Google and become a doctor, couldn't you, without the intervention of, just as I said, it sets off all sorts of danger signals to me. Cannot be replaced by a real estate agent.
Lisa, I couldn't agree more, and you've just brought back a flashback in my mind. A lot of people don't know this, but you and I sold real estate in the same time, at the same place in different times. The exact same streets, like where I was sitting in my desk was like 20 metres from your desk now across the road. So the area has such a fascination for me because I love hearing your results and where you are and what you're doing. But I remember one day there was a lady who I was trying to convert for a year. No, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And then she rocked in the office one day and said, okay, I'm ready to buy. I've sold my place. I said, you've sold? She goes, yep, I sold it myself. I said, what'd you get for it? And she told me the amount. It was like 80,000 less than the current marketplace would be. Wow. Which means you can't buy now. You've actually undersold your own property. The ones you want to look at with us have all gone up 80. There's $80,000 lost because she thought it was a good offer, but the market moves in a day, a week, a fortnight. You don't know until it moves, but it doesn't move over a long period of time. It's the day it happens.
And if the radar for them is reading the media, I'm sorry to say, but how many times has the media gotten it wrong where their predictions have been the market's going to drop 30% and then it did the polar opposite?
Yeah.
So, you've got to be on the ground. You've got to be right across exactly what this real estate market is doing. And that is what is happening with us as real estate professionals. But Lee, I just want to go back to what you mentioned as well about just this pre-market option and vendors that are saying, you know what, Lisa, I don't really want this big auction ticker tape parade. If you've got a buyer at this level and you can provide a dream price for me, I'm probably going to be a seller. And so that's where also this pre-market option for a lot of these vendors is a wonderful option where they don't have to go and spend thousands and thousands of dollars in real estate marketing. And if they do achieve their dream price, they are going to be sellers. And that has been an enormously successful strategy for me, for our agency, and most importantly for our vendors.
It's a great option of sale. And Lisa, as you know, there's a lot of people who require discretion due to, imagine you own the local shop and everyone's about to go through your house. Discretion is a big thing of, yes, I want to sell it, but I don't want the world to know that I'm selling it. And correct. I think that is a brilliant option of sale that brings that all about. But another thing you've just sparked in my brain is pricing of property and the process of selling needs to be experienced. For example, if we as agents were always right, the market would never go up. Everything would still be 199. But the fact you put something to the market and it goes for 100K, 150K more than even we expected is how a marketplace breathes. And I know last year, Rob's mum's place, little townhouse in Terrigal, everyone said 900, 950 if you're lucky. 1.211 in a timed auction, that's a lot of money, and everyone was in shock. You wouldn't get $1 million today for it. Have faith in the process. Who knows what could happen unless it gets an experience of the marketplace with an experienced agent.
Couldn't agree more, Lee. And, there's often that discussion that comes up as well where people say, well, if the property was sold pre-market, off-market, however everyone wants to refer to it, how do we actually know the market was tested, right? How many times have I heard this conversation? And I can't tell you, I've got case studies from here to tomorrow. But I do just want to point out that it is our job as real estate agents to ensure we are achieving the absolute best possible price for our vendors, without a doubt. A great case study. Last week, I actually did sell a property at auction. That was the vendor's instruction to take this apartment to auction. And we ended up achieving under the hammer $1.517 million for this apartment. Now, I had it as one of my pre-markets a few months ago, which unfortunately the vendors had to pull due to their own personal circumstances. But on that exact same apartment, I had pre-market $1.54 million.
Yeah, wow.
On that property. But on the flip side, Lee, I do want to say there has been many a time when I have received multiple offers on a property and I have got pre-market and I've gone to my vendor and said, I truly believe that if we launch this property out to the real estate portals, to realestate.com and Domain, we will achieve a better result. That is our job as real estate agents, to ensure, and I can't draw down on this enough, that we are achieving the highest possible price for our vendors.
And what we have here, though, is there's a gut feel from an agent where you can look at it and think, you know what, that's good, or it's not, or it could go further. But this is where the agent is needed most. And marketing and the market are two different words. It's like pre-marketing versus pre-market. But I think what's happened is so many people are afraid that a property didn't sell that you're sort of protected if it's, it was off market, but it still didn't sell. Yeah, but it didn't go on the market. And if everyone's so fearful of not selling it, and as you know, you can put a property through an auction campaign that doesn't sell. That doesn't mean it failed. We worked out what it's not worth. That's how we achieve that buyer engagement level to say, that's what it's worth. And until you've been through that marketing process or promotion process, how do you get to the truth of the value?
As real estate agents, we need to understand what the market is doing, number one. What are the most recent sales that have taken place in the area? I just sold pre-market last week a lovely home in Freshwater. It was totally unrenovated. It was in its original state and it was in a wonderful location. Now, I knew what great money looked like. I took 4 buyers through. Actually, I barely even started with my pre-marketing strategy, but I took 4 buyers through, and out of those 4 buyers, I had 3 offers. Now, one of them was an absolute standout offer. Now, how did I know that? Because the house a few doors away that was totally renovated sold a few months ago for not that much more.
Yeah, wow. But for you, Lisa, the buyers you're taking through, you know who they are, what they can spend, and when they need it by. And if those people have looked at 50 properties and still haven't bought one, and then they want to pounce on this one, that means this property's number 51 because that's the market they've been in.
But, and again, I think, as an industry, Lee, I do believe that we need to get that terminology right as well, because I couldn't agree more. I think off-market means that no formal advertising has been done. I think pre-market, and I know that we had interviewed Leanne Pilkington many years ago, and we had come up with the terminology that pre-market was the best term because the property is exactly that. It is pre-portal or pre-market, and I think that is great terminology.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But what we've seen happen now is the term off-market has become a real estate industry term the marketing gurus out there have said, great, let's start off-market properties Australia, and we can sell the marketing pack to the vendors. Now, in those scenarios, not saying that company, but all these companies have been around for a long period of time, it doesn't matter to them if the property sells or not. They've sold the marketing pack, the vendor goes on the market, doesn't sell it, has to go to an agent anyway. And I've actually seen some of these portals that for sale by owner portals that people are allowed to do it themselves. And they're actually owned by real estate companies because they know they're not going to sell, and it's a lead source into the business.
Wow. Yeah. Again, sets alarm bells off for me. You are employing our services as real estate agents for our expertise, for our knowledge of the market, and because you are wanting us to achieve the absolute best possible price for your property. Doing that yourself absolutely scares the life out of me.
And I think this audio is a great example of just bringing it to everyone's attention in a different way versus we're sending signals that aren't going to be in our favour. And I mentioned that in the post when all this started, that, you know, the next craze will be off-agent, which is what these portals are now. Off-Market Properties Australia is an off-agent platform. And we want the owner to understand the full part of selling. It's not easy, and you mentioned this to me off air that, you know, you don't have to go to your doctor anymore, you just Google it. Versus, yeah, I think you go and get proper advice on that before you'd Google your medical conditions.
By the way, I definitely don't advise that.
Yeah.
That was an analogy.
But it's a good analogy. It's a great analogy.
Absolutely, it is. But, you know, the success rate, look, people have always been able to sell their own property via their own private sale. You know, has it been a success? No. Has it been around for a really, really long time? Yes. Did we have a gauge back in the 70s, 80s and 90s when people would put their private ad into the trading post? No, we didn't. Do we these days? Yes, because we're all on social media. But, you know, again, I just can't reiterate it enough. If you do want to sell your property for the absolute best possible price, you need a real estate agent. That's the bottom line.
You know, one of my favourite dialogues when the owner would ask me, Lee, what are your fees? And you'd explain to them, well, it doesn't directly go to myself. There's a whole team working on this. There's about 14 sets of hands going to touch the property, and we're a team-based business. But if you were the vendor, Lisa, I'd then say, but Lisa, you don't actually pay me. I don't give you a tax invoice and you pay me like the plumbers or the carpenters or the painters on the property. We generate profit from the sale of your home. And if that result is high enough that you want to release the asset, we get a contingency fee of 2.5% of the sale price as part of our work. And if we don't, we get nothing. And we can't be fairer than that. And that's the truth of how we work in an industry. We take a market, we flip the property into the market. And flipping property is a skill. And,
absolutely.
And not just the renovation side of it. Like the renovation side of it is what people think flipping is. Actually, selling real estate is flipping. And the owner gets one chance to flip it. It's a tax-free asset. You'd want to put your best chance on it versus it's their first sale of their life versus Lisa's 1,000. Big difference in the skill set.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And, you know, the amount of hours that go into listing and selling a property as a real estate agent is extraordinarily high. It's extraordinarily high. I think if you took the commission that we earned as a result of the successful sale of a property and you amortized it out over how many hours actually went into doing that and the resources, I think most people would actually be horrified. Not in a good way. Not in a good way. So, you know, I mean, look, I've been sitting here all morning. It's a Sunday, as you mentioned, Lee. And since about 9 o'clock this morning, I've actually been working on an exchange for a one-bedroom apartment in DY. And, you know, this is something that I've been working on already for a number of weeks. But, you know, and no one's crying for the real estate agent, that's for sure. But there is an enormous amount of time, effort, expertise, marketing, articulation that goes into listing and selling a property.
Hence, Sold by the Agent is a beautiful title for today's program. Lisa, final question for you. When we did the social selling audio with yourself, which is a big hit out there, how's that going for you now? What's the appraisals coming in from your socials?
Unbelievable, Lee. I mean, you know, I'm about 6 years into listing and selling property via my social media channels, and it's been enormously successful. It really has, and it's been enormously successful for the sellers and for the buyers. And I generate about 95% of my appraisals now as a result of my social media.
That one listing stream is just, and it's the one you're passionate about. I think other people do 10 things a little bit light on, whereas I know last time we spoke, it's like 4 hours a day goes into your continuous marketing.
Absolutely. And, look, it's great because the buyers get the opportunity to see and buy property first before they launch out to the real estate portals. And for the sellers, they absolutely love it because it does offer them a $0 marketing option as well. Because not only do I get the seller onto, or the seller's property onto my social media channels, but I also do include their signboard, and I also do include the professional photos, which is a big part of what we're talking about today. Why do I include those professional photos as part of my $0 marketing? Because we are always getting prepped and ready to get onto the real estate portals if we need to. And there's no downtime that way if I've got those professional photos ready to go.
Absolutely fantastic. Lisa Novak, great to have you back on air, and thank you for sharing your thoughts on this very important topic.
Thanks, Lee.